All right, I'm the Serial Intellectual. I'm here with my friend Charlie Mitchell, who you have seen before, and we are going to be talking about his new book, From Nice to Known. I've got the electronic copy, but Charlie, you can flash the hard copies are out, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, so want to give the world a little bit of a tour of this book, From Nice to Known. Tell us about the title of the book.
Yeah, man. It came to me, as I was out on a walk one day. Just what was the problem that I really struggled with when it came to dealing with being overly nice? It's been an issue I've struggled with for a long time, rooted obviously in a lot of my childhood and all of that. But I think the big problem I really wrestled with was I would get in these circumstances and situations that I felt like people didn't really know who I was. And a lot of that was because I was overly nice. And so that's where the name came from. I was like, man, what's one way I could just capture the problem and the solution? Where are we going in this conversation? And let's move from being nice to known.
So, what are some of the problems that you see when people are too nice? What happens relationally, and what happens within them when people are too nice?
Yeah, relationally, you are naturally going to walk on eggshells a lot of the time, and that's a big symptom of being overly nice or a people pleaser, or in the way the Bible puts it, fear man. And so you're nervous about how this person's going to react. You're nervous about how they're going to think if you have a disagreement, if you have a difference of opinion. And so you're kind of tap dancing around in relationship, your real feelings, your real thoughts to make sure that this person or people stays happy with you. Internally, that creates a lot of tension as well because you're suppressing a lot of those things. You're trying to control and maintain the narrative that you've created for the other person, and it creates these fractures. And you'll tend to shade the truth a little bit and try to do everything you can to control the narrative that you want others to have about you, so that they stay happy with you, pleased, or even just simply accept you.
And why do we do this? What's behind? What's the roots? What are the roots of this?
A lot of it roots in the fact that we are not comfortable in our own skin. And I know for me, it was this sense that if I'm honest, if I'm vulnerable, if I'm real, if I speak what I actually feel, then there's going to be this separation. You're not going to accept me. You're not going to want me around. You're not going to, and a big thing for me is disappointment. I don't want to disappoint people. The worst thing in the world somebody could say is, man, I'm really disappointed. And that crushes me. It's almost debilitating. And so you do everything you can to prevent somebody from being able to say that. And so in a lot of ways, that comes from a lot of these childhood experiences of being neglected or not being heard or parents not paying attention. And so you figured out a way, hey, if I can get them to just be happy with me, I'm good. And there's a lot of different ways we can play that out.
Yeah, you have a chapter in the book called "Embracing Authenticity,"
Hmm.
and it you have you have stories, but you talk about one of the ways that we learn to walk away from authenticity is by getting into careers where we are necessitated and rewarded for being other oriented. How does that like counter authentic or counter our authenticity at times?
It all comes down to the rationale. What is it that's driving you to pursue this particular career? Now, many of us came from parents that wanted the best for us. And so that could lead us down a path, or we come from a church or community. They want the best for you. You got to succeed. If you're an immigrant, something like that, it's like, hey, you got to level up. You cannot be in this same social class forever. So we need you to pursue this career path, this financial status. And it makes the whole community or the family feel much better. And we can all kind of move up. Well, if that's not you, you're signing yourself up for a life of work, of drudgery, because you're constantly doing things that are anti what it is that you actually desire to do or be or experience on a daily basis. So you're talking about death by 1,000 paper cuts every single day you go to work, because you're just like, well, I heard it this morning. I think it might have been Seth Godin. He was talking about, somebody's parents paid for them to go to law school. And here you are, you're a lawyer and you hate it. And you go, man, I got to stay in this for another 10 years because I don't want them to be disappointed. And he goes, so you'd rather suffer for 10 years than for them to have 1 hour of discouragement or disappointment. And that's the kind of stuff we'll put ourselves through. You choose the wrong career path based on somebody else's expectations.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. And then there's a chapter in the book called Learning How to Say No. That's a powerful chapter. Talk a little bit about that. What was the kind of impetus behind putting that chapter in the book?
Yeah, my goal was to help nice guys or people pleasers to move from, okay, these are natural things that come to you. I can't say no. And so these are steps. These are mindsets that you need to embrace if you're going to go from being nice and being known as nice to actually being known, people actually accepting you for who you are, you accepting yourself for who you are. And that chapter is critical because that's an initial step outside of the internal dialogues you got to have, right? And so you being able to kind of say, hey, every time there's an offer on the table, hey, would you come help me move? I got a lot of those. Could you come help me move? Could you do this? Can you do this opportunity? Man, you always, and many times, nice guys are the people that people depend on. They're the most faithful. They're the, consistent. These are all good words, but they can easily become toxic for a nice guy because we don't know how to say no and prioritize ourselves, our needs, and maybe even our calling and our purpose in life for the sake of not having that uncomfortable moment of saying no to somebody. So that's why that chapter is in there, because it's like you got to learn that skill in order for you to actually begin to flourish in life, because everybody's got a plan for your life. You know what I'm saying? And so it might not be your plan, but they've got a plan for you. And so it's essential that you learn how to say no.
You realize that for those of us who love to try to please people, there's nothing that hurts more than saying no or confessing a limitation, or just not being available. Like some of us would rather die than to have that be our reality, right?
That's right. That's right.
You wrote about in chapter 7, building healthy relationships. The thing that struck me was when you said, I never thought of myself as being bad at friendship until I started therapy. And after months of conversations, my therapist had more than enough material from my life to pick up on some repeating themes. And it stood out to me that I think a lot of us just think that because we're in relationships and we do relationships, we do them well. But that's not the case, is it?
Absolutely not. That's the thing with people pleasing. You've attracted people that know that they can depend on you, that you will act a certain way. And so, yeah, you're going to be surrounded by people that need things. that request that have, you know. So all of that, yeah, you're in a relationship, but then at night you typically say, I don't know, these people don't really know me. I haven't been able to share. I don't feel comfortable sharing what I'm really passionate about, what I really want to do. Man, I ain't even agree with Mike when he said that, but you would never say that to Mike. So Mike's happy with you because you already agree, right?
Right.
And so those types of things, we all want somebody that's going to cheer us on and accept us, anything we say, and that's what people pleasers do. And so, yeah, you're not in an authentic relationship because these people don't really know who you are. They're in relationship with a mask. They're in relationship with this persona you've created and not the real you. And that's when I realized for me, like, oh man, I'm surrounded by people that love me and accept me, but it's not Charlie. It's the persona of Charlie that I've created.
Mm, mm, mm. You know, it's interesting because you've heard me say this before. I think we were created for intimacy. And when we use that word in the West, we hear sexuality. But
Absolutely.
intimacy, as you know, is knowing and being known. And
Hmm.
I don't think there's anything that we're more afraid of than intimacy.
That's right.
And authenticity is the door,
Yep.
right? And so there's a lot of talk about being you and authenticity. And I wrote a book called Be You, and you've got this book and we're talking about it. But there's a reason why there's so much attention on authenticity and being you and not being a people pleaser. It's because it's our default position to not show up as
Hmm.
ourselves
That's
and
right.
to be something to someone else because we get rewarded for it, right?
That's right.
So what do you hope happens if someone reads this book?
Yeah, I hope that they take at least one step, whether it's the self awareness step, because nice guys know that they're nice guys. A lot of us deal with a lot of anger beneath the surface, a lot of frustration, a lot of tension, a lot of narratives we've got going in our mind that we're like, there becomes moments where you just kind of wish, I just wish I could say. Like there's a lot of those kind of moments after conversations, you're driving home or whatever, you were out and you were like, man, I should have said, and you're replaying conversations in your head and all of that. But you don't know. Maybe it's because you've just most of your life you've patterned yourself to say, man, I would rather not say than to be alone. And that's a false narrative because people want to know the real you if you're willing to take that step. So I'm hoping that people at least take one step. It's a small book, easy to read, whatever, but it's just like, man, learn the skill of saying no. Maybe you're aware that I'm overly nice, I'm a people pleaser. Man, do a week or do a day, I should say. And just, hey, any requests that come in that day, just practice saying no. Nope, and no thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I don't, and don't, oh, and create ways to make them happy. Just say, no, I'm going to look out for myself for this one. And so that's my goal with this book is to help kind of bring that awareness and give you a few steps to help you move towards being known.
Awesome. Where can they find the book?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. So yeah, just look it up from Nice to Known, Charlie Mitchell. You can find it right there.
And where can they get in touch with you?
I'm on Instagram for the most part. So at the Charlie Mitchell on Instagram, and I post pretty infrequently. So you'll see me on there.
Hey, you've been a nice guy. You're making room for everybody else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been good to talk to you, and I recommend this book, From Nice to Known, by my friend
Thank
Charlie
you.
Mitchell. Grace and peace.